In today's show, we're talking about the Orlando Magic and why you should be watching them this season. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi guys, and welcome to Locked On NBA. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I am the host just of Locked On NBA, also of Locked On Fantasy Basketball. You can check me out over there. And as we've been doing today, we've been talking about some of the teams that are projected to be the worst in the NBA, but telling you why you need to pay some attention to them, why you need to watch them, and what good things you are going to see. We've talked about the Thunder, we've talked about the Pistons. Now we're going to talk about the Orlando Magic. Today's show is brought to you by Theragun. Don't let the stresses of daily life, injuries, any of that stuff weigh you down. Whether you're an elite athlete or you're just someone like me trying to make it through the day tension-free, Theragun can help. Theragun is the handheld percussive device that releases your deepest muscle tension using a scientifically calibrated combo of depth, speed, and power. And it's as quiet as an electric toothbrush. The Gen 4 Theragun doesn't just feel good. It gets to the source of your pain by releasing tension using Theragun's signature percussive therapy, which goes 60% deeper than vibration alone. Whether you want to treat your muscle tension from working out, an injury, or just those stresses of everyday life, there's no substitute for the Theragun Gen 4. Theragun is trusted by 250 professional sports teams like Real Madrid and elite athletes like Paul George, DeAndre Hopkins, Maria Sharapova, and hundreds of thousands of customers and me. Try Theragun for 30 days starting at only $199. Go to therabody.com/lockedon right now, and you can get your Gen 4 Theragun today. That's therabody.com/lockedon, therabody.com/lockedon. All right, here he is, the host of the Locked On Magic podcast. Philip Rossman-Reich is here. Phil, we've been doing this throughout the day today, talking about why you want to pay attention to the worst teams in the NBA. No offense to the Magic fans, the organization, all that sort of stuff, but they're not. I don't think they're particularly trying to be all that good this season, but that doesn't mean that you have to just ignore them for the season. There are still going to be fun things to watch and interesting things to watch with the Orlando Magic this season. So you've been employed now as the number one marketing manager for the Orlando Magic. Sell us. Why are we watching the Magic this year?
2 words, Jalen Suggs. I mean, you saw what he did in the NCAA tournament. You saw that half-court buzzer-beating shot. I don't need to sell you on anything more. This kid is a future star in the making. And you look at some of those teams at the top of the standings that are competing for championships. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them started at the bottom. You want to get in on the ground floor with this kid. This kid is going to be an all-star at the very, very least, and he's going to provide plenty of entertaining games. And you never know, you might get a great Cole Anthony post-game press conference in the meantime. That dude is just a cheerleader for everyone on his team. So, with all these teams, I'm sure they're going to be touting their young guys, but you saw what Jalen Suggs did in the NCAA tournament with the half-court buzzer-beating shot. You know how good he can be. Watch him in the NBA because he's going to take the league by storm just like he took the college ranks by storm.
Do you think he starts opening night?
I do actually think he's going to start opening night. Some of that might be because Markelle Fultz won't be ready to play quite yet. But from everything that I understand, everything that I sense, Suggs is the guy. He really, I thought there was some fun alpha posturing going on at Summer League. He took the reins from Cole Anthony. I don't see a way that he isn't ahead of him on the depth chart at the very least. And so I think that he's going to be, if not in the starting lineup, then playing significant minutes right from the get-go.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. I would be actually shocked if he isn't in that starting lineup, especially as you said, with Markelle Fultz out. Maybe it's 1 or 2 games, but it might be a situation like Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball. But those guys didn't have a preseason, they didn't have a summer league to get acquainted, or they had a preseason, but they didn't have the full experience. And I don't think it'll be long before Suggs is in that mix. But it's not just Jalen Suggs. You can't sell me this team, Phil, just on one guy who's a rookie who we haven't seen play in the NBA. Like, what else is interesting about this team?
I think what's going to be really interesting about this team is the recovery of Jonathan Isaac from injury. I mean, if you're talking about someone who has shown a lot of reasons to be excited about him on the court, it's Isaac. This guy was putting up nearly quadruple double numbers, leading the league in stocks, which is steals and blocks combined. I think that he could very well be the first perimeter defender or the first kind of wing defender to win Defensive Player of the Year since Andrei Kirilenko back in, I think it was 2004. And that's the Defensive Player of the Year, category. Maybe Draymond Green fits that category. I don't know if he does, but it's dominated by centers and dominated by big men. And sure, Jonathan Isaac's 7 feet, but he plays like a wing. He is what everyone would call a unicorn. And obviously we've missed him because of the torn ACL, because of the injuries that he's had over the last year and a half. But once he's on the floor, he's going to provide some type of highlight defensively and just make a play that makes you just kind of do a double take like that. Did he just do that? This is not your typical bad team that has bad players. This is a bad team with a lot of really good young talent that you want to watch grow.
Yeah, and this isn't like if you've seen the Magic, get into the 8th seed and get swept out, or be battling in that area the last couple of years. It's just boring. Like it's Fournier and it's Gordon and it's Vooch. Like they're fine. They're all right. It's none of those like.
It's conservative Steve Clifford basketball. It wins games, gets you to 500, but it doesn't win in the playoffs.
That's right, and we don't have that anymore. This is a team that the center position is going to be like two 22-year-olds battling it out with Wendell Carter and Mo Bamba. You're going to have your Chuma Okeke, who's playing his second season. You've got a rookie Franz Wagner playing on the wing. You've got, as you mentioned, Cole Anthony, Markel Fultz, the former number 1 overall pick, Jalen Suggs in the mix, Jonathan Isaac, excitement machine, RJ Hampton as well, coming off the bench. So this is a team that's just littered with guys who have been picked in the last 2 to 3 years of NBA drafts. Yes, and the older guys are players like Fultz, who was picked 5 years ago, like 4 years ago, same as Isaac, like not all that long ago. They're all those, outside of Terrence Ross, who knows how long he's going to be on the team. All of those guys who are sort of solid 28, 29-year-old veterans are gone. And we are left with a bunch of young guys to try and figure it out. Jamal Mosley, a new head coach. Phil, is there anything specific we can expect from Jamal? Will we see, unlike the Clifford, let's just try and beat them by putting them to sleep and really focusing on defense, will we see more high-flying offensive antics and going at pace and trying to really work on that side rather than let's just try and stop a team from beating us rather than let's go out and beat them like the Clifford model?
Yeah, I think that is something we're going to see. Mosley's talked a lot. His kind of buzzwords are we're going to play with pace, space, and the pass, and who really knows what that means. But Jamal Mosley's also a defensive coach, so don't think that the Magic are not going to play defense. But what I suspect that we will see is Orlando is going to really try and push the pace. They're going to really try and get after and get into guys defensively. Mosley with Dallas's defenses didn't rate particularly well, but everyone kind of understood when you played Dallas, they were going to get into you. They're going to be physical with you. They're going to play up on the ball. They're going to try and shoot into gaps and get steals to create some transition, which fed, what was one of the best offenses in the league for the last few years. I suspect that that's going to be the Magic strategy with such a young roster and a ton of ball handlers. I mean, Cole Anthony, RJ Hampton, Jalen Suggs, Markel Fultz, all can handle the point. The Magic, I think, are going to run multiple point guard lineups. They're going to try and get after guys, get into passing lanes, get steals, get turnovers, and get out in transition where they have plenty of athletes who can run the floor and plenty of versatility to run different styles of play and throw different things at you. So I think they're going to be much more varied and aggressive than they have in the last few years.
So there you go. You got a brand new coach in his first stop as a head coach. You've got a former number 1 overall pick. You've got a guy who'd probably go number 1 in most drafts in Jalen Suggs. You've got a defensive player of the year candidate in John Isaac. You have got and plenty of other just young, interesting wing players, top 7 centers in Mo Bamba and Wendell Carter. A lot of young, promising talent that's trying to find their way in the NBA, and that is why you need to be tuning in to watch some Orlando Magic games. And after you've tuned in to watch those Orlando Magic games, why don't you go and check out Philip on the Locked On Magic podcast, and he can tell you everything that's been happening around the Magic. Phil, thanks for coming on Locked On NBA with me.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.